Hey everyone, Paul Clark here, and in this video I want to talk about my experience using the Robinhood trading platform to trade stocks, to invest in stocks, and how that actually led to an investment idea that I'll get to towards the end of this video. So first of all, I'm actually really grateful for Robinhood. I remember a couple years ago, or a few years ago, I was out to dinner with a friend and he mentioned to me that he was using a platform where he could actually buy stocks with no commission. Now, I was pretty sure that that was either a scam or something that wasn't quite right, or he just didn't have his facts straight. But I did my research and I checked out the company called Robinhood that he wanted me to check out, and it turned out he was right. There was a company out there that would actually allow you to buy stocks without paying the commission. Now that was actually pretty meaningful to me because, I had thought about dabbling in trading stocks before that, but, you are looking at paying anywhere between $5 to $10 to buy individual stocks, from using sites like Fidelity or Charles Schwab and things like that. So using these reputable brokers, it was going to be costing you a decent amount of money just in commissions, or at least if you were going to be using just a few $1,000s to invest like I was going to start out with. So that was always kind of a bit of an impediment that kept me out of investing. I mean, really it was kind of just, an excuse in some ways to not invest sooner than what I was doing. But that being said, Robinhood really eliminated that excuse. It took it off the table, and it got me to start putting a little bit of money in the stock market every week. And that's something that's actually had a really big positive impact on my life. At that time, I was actually a couple of years ago living pretty close to paycheck. And after I started putting money in the stock market, it was something that I just really enjoyed doing. I enjoyed doing the research, seeing the results, and now I've got myself to just under $50,000, which will be pretty close to be able to support my lifestyle for about 2 years, which really kind of speaks to how cheap I am and the fact that I can actually live for about $25,000 a year, but that's a subject for another video. But yeah, so in other words, Robinhood, got me back in the financial markets, or started in the financial markets really, and for that I'm grateful. Okay, but there was something really interesting that happened after Robinhood came out and they started to gain traction with their no commission stock trades. You started to see some of the other big firms, some of the other big brokers come out and announce that they were actually cutting commissions for stocks as well. Okay, so the interesting thing about that is that, the other companies, the Charles Schwabs, your Fidelities, the other big name brokers, they have, much more brand awareness. They've got a bigger, history for, in the industry, things like that. So they've got a lot more expertise as far as, some of these things. And they've also got, bigger assets under management, or more assets under management. So they're just overall more stable companies, which I think is relevant because when you think about it, if your broker goes out of business, you actually are guaranteed the stock. So the actual quantities of stock that you own, that is actually insured to you, at least as far as I understand it, but not the value. Okay, so you might, let's say, have $1,000 in stock, and let's just say you have one stock for $1,000. Let's say you have like a Chipotle or a company like that. If you have a broker that goes out of business, you're guaranteed that stock, but maybe by the time you have access to it, maybe Chipotle's down to $500 a share, or it's cut in half, right? So you're not guaranteed that amount the stock was trading when your broker goes out of business. You're just guaranteed that stock. And then, of course, there's a whole concern about like when you'd be able to access your cash, any of those things. And none of that's to insinuate that Robinhood, is going to go out of business. And in fact, it's the opposite. They continue to raise money. They've had a lot of success in increasing their valuation, and they're setting themselves up to have their own initial public offering in the not too distant future. But still, kind of considering those two things, considering that you now have companies that have a lot more stability, a lot more history, that are willing to offer you free trades versus the new kid on the block offering the free trades, it kind of started to say, hey, why wouldn't I want to go with that other company? It's kind of almost a little bit like saying, hey, what if you found out that you go to your supermarket and 1 week you notice that their store brand is free and the national brand still costs the same as it always did, and you say, hey, you know what? If if I wasn't buying the private label or that private brand before, I'm going to buy the store brand or that off brand now because it's free, right? Why wouldn't I? But then let's say you go to the store a couple months later and the national brand is free, right? Then all of a sudden, maybe you think, hey, this national brand, I'm more familiar with it, has a longer history than this store-bought generic thing. So maybe you decide that you want to go with that. So it's kind of my rough and loose analogy about how I would kind of compare why I was tempted to move away from Robinhood when some of the bigger players in the industry decided to go to commission-free trading. Now, the other thing with Robinhood that has kind of spooked me a little bit is they've dealt with a lot of outage issues in terms of not being able to place trades due to server issues. And part of that, it's kind of, they're in some ways victims of their own success. They've, been able to attract so many new customers that I think that they're not able to entirely keep up with that. And, to some extent, I think I can understand if that happens once or twice, but this is now to the point where it's happening multiple times where, and again, this kind of goes back to, certainly not as dramatic as if a broker goes out of business, but, if you're actually trying to sell stock and you say, hey, based on my trading strategy, this looks like this is the price point I want to exit at, or I've got my stop loss in place. Well, if their servers go down and your stop loss is triggered, and the stock keeps going lower, 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 and then 4 hours later they say, hey, good news, we fixed the problem, that could still be really bad news for you. That could still be a situation where you've lost considerably more than you would have wanted to lose based on your strategy, based on your stop losses, or whatever that might be for you. So something to keep in mind. But again, what's interesting is that there is definitely no denying that Robinhood has really resonated with the kind of millennial generation. I mean, they've really got people of all demographics that have been able to come to their site, but they're really targeting millennials. But what I think is happening is that as you see a lot of millennials get interested in Robinhood, I think that's bringing a lot of people into individual stocks, and that's bringing people into the financial markets. But I think that once they're actually in the game, I think people are starting to do some due diligence and say, hey, what are some of the best brokers? Because there are some people that have been going through these outages and they've been pretty upset, and they've been expressing that on social media and other avenues. And so with that in mind, kind of my investment thesis out of all of this is that I think that Robinhood users, I think that there's going to be a portion of them that are going to move to other brokers that are more stable, versus what Robinhood has to offer, right? Less chance of an outage, less chance of going out of business, right? All of those things. So I think with that in mind, that, really any of the brokers would represent a good long-term investment here. But for myself, I'm personally starting to put some capital to work buying Charles Schwab. It's actually even kind of fun because I have an account with Charles Schwab and I can actually buy Charles Schwab stock using their platform. So that's kind of neat too, to say, hey, I've switched from Robinhood to this, and I'm going to invest in what I know. I'm going to invest in something that makes sense to me, which is, again, me switching from Robinhood to Charles Schwab. I can invest in it easier than I can say it. But that's kind of the thought process. And by the way, just a couple other interesting statistics to keep in mind here is that Charles Schwab does currently pay a 2% annual dividend yield, okay? And just because they've paid that in the past, or that's what they're currently yielding, that's no indication that they're going to pay that forever. I mean, it could increase, decrease, right? I mean, those things are certainly not set in stone, as is the share price. So make sure that you're doing your own research and make sure that you're not just listening to some random YouTube guy as far as investing your money goes. But I can tell you that when Robinhood comes out, that they're not going to be offering a dividend right away. So you have Charles Schwab, they're going to be paying you a 2% dividend. Okay, you have a reasonable amount of certainty that they're going to continue to pay that 2% dividend. You also look at, there's a research report by Morningstar that they came out with where their analysts covering the stock actually have a fair value estimate where they're currently saying that they believe the stock is actually worth about $45 a share, whereas it currently trades at about $36 a share. So there's